Destiny Ridge. Good morning, viewers. How you going? Well, bit of a problem this morning. Bloody inverter. So I bought a... Look, I don't have a lot of money. I really don't. And I bought this off of eBay. 4,000 watt, 8,000 watt. So for those that don't know, look, pure sine wave, you've got to have pure sine wave. I have a... If you get a modified one, modified sine wave, it's a square wave. Now, motors and microwaves and things like that don't like square wave because of the way. See, nice means that everything runs nice. If it's square, you can hear it. It goes, instead of it goes. Not very good. Burns them out pretty quick. So don't get a modified sine wave. Get a pure sine wave one. Now, I got a 4,000 watt one, right? Now, see the 4 plugs? 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. My microwave is an 1,100 watt microwave. It's an old one that I had from before. It's not very efficient, but it's 1,100 watts. One port will not run that. I need to run the generator to run the microwave when I'm using this one. Now, the problem I've got. Now, I've done a bit of exploratory stuff before switching you guys on. So the terminals were getting hot. I'm going, why are the terminals getting hot? And they come with, they come with a screw thing. So you can't get a real lot of tension on them, which is a bit of a pity, but because you need to have a tight connections with DC, right? So, open it up. Now, make sure it's turned off before you open it up. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys that. See these nuts? They were loose. And if you don't get a good connection with 12 volt, you get a hot spot. And so what I did was, this panel sits over here like this. Oh, I don't push that. Let me just push those wires, the fan wires back in. Oh, of course, it's not going to do it now. Sheesh. Let me switch up over here a bit. So, I got my little LED light. My electronics, can't see a shit thing light happening. And so that sits through this little panel, right? So, and then this insulator, can you see? Insulator insulates the brass bolt from this panel, same as with the negative side, all right? So, gonna put these 4 little screws back in. So what I did was I pulled it all out. They were 17 millimeter spanner nuts, and I did them up tight. They got a spring washer on them. I don't know how they came loose from the factory. I mean, my God, they must have been loose when they left, because I don't throw this thing around, it just sits there. Now, these are a fairly big bolt. They're a 10 mil bolt, I would imagine. And these little screws don't want to go back in. That's typical, isn't it? Anybody that's worked on anything that's difficult to hold in your hands while you're trying to screw and everything, screws just don't want to go back in. Right, so I got that one started now, thank goodness. So what I had was a couple of times over the last couple of months, I know one time when I went to my mum's house and came back, the fridge was off. Now, the fridge is the only thing that I leave on when I go. I turn off the internet, I turn off everything else. All plugs, lighting, everything gets turned off when I leave, so that so the water pump, I turn the tank off in case an animal walks past and knocks the hose and it comes off the valve and I lose 6,000 litres of water or whatever, you know, while I'm not here. So I think what it is that it must move around a little bit by itself. Like, I mean, harmonics do that, I suppose, you know, as fans turn on and off, and because they're loose, when you turn on an item, it probably gets a little bit of a jolt from the 12 volts. Now, 12 volts doesn't seem much, but when you start throwing it on a 10 mil bolt and you're drawing current and everything through it, there's a good chance it's going to move something. But I'm really surprised, actually, that these nuts on the end of this were so loose. They literally had a 3 mil gap in between the terminal, the cable terminals, the spade, whatever they're called, the rings, that any little movement or anything just meant that the power turned off for a second. And that's what happened this morning. I was listening to a YouTube channel while I was getting dressed, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. See, oh, we're low. No, we're not low. Something's wrong. So come with me. This is a good lesson that the fridge just turned on, and well, we've got 12.4 volts, 12.5 actually. It says that there's a fault on the fridge. So I've turned that off. What's it doing? I had to reset it. Okay, so I've got another pure sine wave inverter. This is a 3000 6000, and it says 12.4 there. It says 12.4 there. 239, 240 volts. Okay. So, it would seem, now, if it's a 3000 and it's only got 2 plugs, I would imagine it's 1500 and 1500. So let me pull the top one out. It's telling me that the... Okay. Stop the beeping, idiot. Turned off. Oh, that was a bit weird. How come there's 2 switches? It says 12.3. It's got the... So this cable here goes to the fridge. It runs the fridge and it runs the internet. That's all it runs. On at night it runs our light as well. Now, when the fridge was on before, it said that there was a fault. Now, I don't know what that means. that there's a fault coming back. It's actually, this cable goes to a safety switch, and then the safety switch reticulates the power to a power board that the fridge and the internet come off of. Now, it's telling me I've nearly got, well, 12.7 is a full battery. So, this is the pump. This here is the gas hot water lighter. This is computer and charging stations. So let's turn that off. I'll plug that in. So it's a process of elimination. So 3,000, 6,000 apparently. I don't know, it doesn't say it on it. Doesn't say it on it. And so I would imagine this one's 1,500 and this one's 1,500 watts. Whereas this one is 4,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 for 1,000. Now, I'm going to turn that computer one back on, and everything wants to run all right now. So, seems to be right on the edge. Let's go back and finish this one, and then I can plug it back in. But I will have to take note of that, because when I run the new battery system, which I've got 8 new batteries sitting right there, it will have that inverter off of it, and the fridge and everything will have this one. And now that it's let me just get back to this. This is not the first time I've purchased an inverter. Now see that? See? That's bottoming out. See that? That's ridiculous. Because it means that I'm getting that as tight as I can get it. But if that lug that I have is not that thick, and look, that's pretty thick. That is pretty thick. I'll have to, I don't know where my rule is, but it would have to be 4 mil. There's no way my lug's going to be that thick. So that's never going to make a good contact. It'll never have good contact. Let's try the positive one, shall we? Sorry about moving the camera around too much, people. Yeah, even worse. That's even worse. Look at that. All right, so I have to get some washers put in between to make sure that there's a very solid. Now, it doesn't matter, even if you screwed that further back in, and you could, yes, that would be the only way that you could do that, is by screwing that further in. Now, both nuts on the inside were on the end of the rod. This is just a bit of a threaded bar. And the 2 nuts that are in here were on the end of this one, and this one were on the end of the bolt. And I believe I've actually moved them up the thread a bit. Now, maybe I need to pull it all apart and move it up the thread a bit, or do I just run 3 or 4 washers in between, like have the brass ones for the lug on the cable, or do I? Yes, I'm going to do that. That's not going to matter. all it has to do is put pressure between these two brass washers and make connection with that brass bolt to ensure that I have a strong, constant connection that's not going to come loose. Now, I have had these come loose. These have come loose by themselves. So that's one thing you need to check. You need to check your terminals on your batteries, check your batteries, and definitely check the terminals on these. Now, if you're getting a bit of an issue, now what I was getting was the battery was saying, say 12.5 volts, right? Well, this here, when it lit up, would say 12.3 or 12.2. And that was, I believe, due to these bolts being loose. Just not getting the same connection, it's getting a loose connection. And I gotta tell you, this negative, just the other day, was hot. So I knew I had to pull it apart. Now I'm glad I had that other one here. The fridge is running okay, I can hear it. Let's see what happens when I turn the pump on. The fridge and the pump are the two major things. Yeah, looks like it works. Fridge is working. I don't know what the issue was. See, here's the box that I use. It's got a safety switch on the side. So if there is a short, so the power comes up and comes to this, and then it gets reticulated out to all the areas. So the safety switch is my RCD. I have got a box with a proper switchboard, which will be going up over here shortly, and I'll be running some stuff from there. So let me put these on. Let me find my packet of washers. I know I've got washers around here. What is that noise? Oh, it's just leaves landing on the roof. It's a bit windy. Wind is starting to get up. Oh, it's a beautiful breeze. Oh, it's a lovely breeze. Oh, it is. Anyway, so make sure you go through and check all your solar things, all your connections. See, that's 12.4. That's 12.3. They're tight. Oh, it's got a little bit of movement in it, but it's working all right. But that's what I was talking about. See the disparity? And that's 12.2. 12.2, 12.3, 12.4. Physics. I don't know. Doesn't work in my place. Anyway, now that I'll have to pull that out, pull that end out, and I'll have to check these bolts. It seems to be a common thing with these. So I'll do that. The charger over there, I don't know if you can see it or not. Sorry about being on an angle. It says 13.1 volts going in. We got 12.4 volts there. 12.3 here. 12.3 there. So it's 1 volt difference. I'd imagine that's a little bit loose. That's what happens. They're all tight. They're all tight, that's good. So, that's it for this video. I just wanted to let you guys know what can happen. I do live off grid. There's my generator, graveyard and generator. So this one's working at the moment. It's full of redbacks and things. I did spray it the other day. This one here I've got the new starter motor for now, and I need to fix it. That's the diesel generator. I would rather a diesel generator than a petrol generator, mainly because of longevity, but it's done 1200 hours or something. No, 840 hours, and the starter broke on it. Anyway, so I'll get that fixed. That'll be our video in the future. This one here is running okay. Just be aware, always have a bottle of oil suited to the generator on hand. Generators that just idle along, this is a 6 kVA generator. If it's not under load very often, what happens is the bore glazes up a little bit and you start using oil. Every month or so I need to put 100 mil or so in, or 200 mil into, hey, where you going? Into the oil, because she shuts down. So she's out of oil. So I got to fill up the oil. So make sure you have that as well. Obviously have fuel for cloudy days and oil for when she runs out of oil, because it will run out of oil. Okay, all right, so thank you very much for tuning in. Like the new shirts, Destiny Ridge. All right, so please subscribe. It helps out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Please give me a like, and see you next time.